What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video from sunny Playa del Carmen. Getting right into it, guys. This video was inspired by subscriber Lindsay. Thank you so much for your comment, Lindsay. I read it actually today and it's kind of pushed me into action to film this video. The comment was something like, "I love you sharing your financial decisions in these videos. I just shared them with my son who recently graduated high school." And it kind of got me thinking, well, first of all, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that, Lindsay. But it got me thinking, how awesome would it be to have this type of information coming right out of high school? And what are the possibilities? And I wanted to share a hypothetical investment strategy that's extremely simple. The most simple yet very underrated and effective investment strategy that I can come up with for someone in that situation, just getting out of high school, who has maybe a 20-year horizon. Say he wants to retire at 38 years old. How could that be achieved? And then I'm going to put together a couple hypotheticals toward the end of the video, so stick around for that, where I'm actually going to plug in the numbers, share them on the screen, and show what that actual compounding looks like over 20 years. And so let's get right into it, guys. The strategy, and you know, Lindsay, I don't know your son's name, so for the simplicity of this video, we're gonna call him John. I hope that's okay. So let's say John gets out of high school and he wants to start investing, but he doesn't have the tools yet to do individual stock analysis. He's not comfortable with picking individual stocks, and he's not comfortable with investing a ton of money all at once, and he doesn't have a whole lot of money right in the beginning to invest. So I want to talk about dollar cost averaging, which is a very simple strategy where an investor simply averages into a position over the long term, over time. And rather than investing in individual stocks, we're going to talk about ETFs, and a couple in particular, dividend paying ETF. One of them is called SCHD, and it's the Charles Schwab high dividend ETF. And the reason I want to highlight this ETF is it's comprised of really high quality businesses, but you're buying the whole basket of businesses all at once, rather than picking individual stocks. This guy's having some four-wheeler issue. But the reason I want to highlight this dividend ETF is there's very little analysis that goes into it. You're buying these high quality business all at once, and I'll share with you guys the top 15 holdings up on the screen right there for SCHD, and also the return since inception. The annualized returns are about 12%. So let's say John gets out of high school and he wants to start investing, and he simply dollar cost averages into SCHD. So he's essentially buying over 100 companies every time he buys a share of this ETF. And over the long term, can potentially expect something like 12% annualized. Keep in mind, guys, this is not financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. This is all hypothetical. But the point of this video is to give young investors hope and realistic expectations of what it takes to retire early. So scenario number one, John gets out of high school, he gets a job, or maybe two. Say he's got a day job doing roofing, and in the evenings he's doing Uber Eats or some type of side hustle. And at the end of the summer, he has saved $10,000 to invest in SCHD or something like that that will return about 12%. And thereafter, he decides to continue investing $500 every single month for 20 years at that 12% compound interest rate. Kicking off my flip-flops here. What would that look like after 20 years? Well, it would actually end up being around about $530,000. Just by starting with 10 grand and investing $500 a month. And so at 38 years old, 20 years, let's say he's 18 right now, 20 years after graduating high school, his net worth would be well over $500,000, which is enough to retire in many, many countries around the world. Not in the US, guys, but John could pick any country in Latin America and retire comfortably before 40 years old. And okay, so scenario 2, let's say that we have a different high school graduate, we'll call him Adam. He gets out of high school and does the same thing, works all summer, invests $10,000, and he gets the same return, 12%, but he goes on to work a little bit extra every week, and he's able to invest $1,000 every month for the same duration, 20 years. What would his net worth look like just by investing double? Well, you might guess around $960,000. So even with a weekly contribution of $250 or $1,000 a month, you can pretty much reach millionaire status, guys. It's more about having time on your side. But you can reach that millionaire status before 40 years old, retire almost wherever you want, not in the US necessarily. But let's, for fun, say scenario 3, we have another high school graduate. Let's call her Jennifer. And she gets out of high school and all of her friends are going to college, and she really wants to go to college and get her degree. And so she goes to college. Instead of working right out of the gate, she takes on some student loan debt and goes and gets a 4-year degree. And at the end of her 4-year degree, she's about $80,000 in debt. So the first 6 years after graduation, she works really, really hard, pays off the debt, and also saves up $10,000 and invests that $10,000 at 12%. And going forward though, she has $2,000 a month to invest. Whereas John and Adam, as we called them, had $500 and $1,000 a month respectively. So Jennifer has $2,000 to invest every single month, but she only has 10 years before she hits that 38-year-old mark where John and Adam are trying to retire, and she would also like to retire. So yes, she's a higher earner, she has more to invest, but half the time. What does that look like after her 10 years of compounding? So $10,000, $2,000 a month added, contributed every single month at 12%. She ends up actually with less than John does, who went and did some roofing jobs and Uber Eats right out of high school and just started going at it, investing $10,000 initially and only $500 a month. Jennifer ends up with $100,000 less than John in scenario 1. So keep that in mind, guys. I'm not saying that college is bad, skip college, because let's face it, if you want to be a doctor, an engineer, a legal professional like a lawyer, you're going to need that degree. And it's a great challenge. Those are all great career options. But a lot of my friends, a lot of people I know went and got their degrees and then don't work in the field in which they have the degree. I have friends who are in real estate, but got their degrees in something completely unrelated. And regardless, they're stuck with that student loan debt. So that student loan debt right out of the gate can be a major hindrance because it's compounding against you rather than working for you. Guys, for those of you who don't know my situation, I'm 36 years old. I've been retired for about 1.5 years, and I don't have a college degree. I did study various subjects from time to time, but I paid cash for the little bit of college education that I went through. I studied education psychology, I studied Spanish, various subjects, always to kind of realize that, well, if I finish this degree, I'm going to have $40,000 or $50,000 at least in student loan debt, and I'm not going to be making enough to justify it, like say studying elementary education. Okay, so I spend, you know, 80 grand, get that degree, and then what, go teach elementary school and make 45, 50 grand a year. Doing the math, it would be really hard to ever even pay off the student loan debt because I would barely be earning enough to live. And that's nothing against teachers, educators. I love and appreciate you guys, but it's a big sacrifice and also a lot of work. I did practicum. I volunteered in an elementary school in Oregon, and I absolutely loved it. It was the most rewarding and one of the best things I ever have done with my life. But it is exhausting when you're in charge of 30 or 35 children. And so keep that in mind, guys. There's a lot of social pressure to go to college, to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're only 18 years old. And this comment today from Lindsay really inspired me because I wanted to share what's possible. I almost feel like I'm having a conversation with the conversation I wish I could have had with my 18-year-old self. Like, hey, it's okay. You don't have to go to college. You can just work and invest and reach financial freedom and achieve your dreams. And look, even if your guys' goal isn't to retire at, say, 38 years old, imagine building that kind of wealth at 35 or 38 years old. Even if you want to continue working, you could use that wealth as a tailwind to build up other projects. You could use that free cash flow to buy real estate, property, or start another business, your own ice cream business or whatever it may be. That's actually a pretty lucrative business in a lot of countries. I do know someone who started an ice cream cafe in Ecuador, and they're doing really well. So you can use this investment income as a springboard to live your other dreams, work on other projects. And you not only have the extra cash, but the extra time, because you're not working for every dollar that you're making. So a little bit back to SCHD and these ETFs. Another one I wanted to mention is VYM. I'll share that on the screen as well. One thing I wanted to mention is the expense ratios are so low, 0.06%. So you're not paying some fund manager a huge percentage of your returns to manage this fund. It's completely passive. You buy the ETF, you automatically own these high quality businesses. You're entitled to the distribution. And the best part is, I haven't even mentioned yet, but these dividends grow over time because the individual stocks in the ETF raise their dividends. They have growing earnings, growing cash flows, and therefore growing dividends. So you have a dividend growth rate of, say, like 8% over any given period of 3 years or 5 years, maybe higher. And that outpaces inflation. So your cash flow continues to grow. And as you invest more and more, if you turn on what's called the DRIP, the automatic dividend reinvestment, your dividends every single quarter will start buying you more shares as well. So not only are you contributing more cash of your own, but your dividend is also going to buy more and more shares. And that begins to snowball in a big way, especially after the first decade, and even more so later on. So, guys, I really hope you found this video motivational and helpful in some way. If so, please smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and you'd like to see more videos like this one. Let me know in the comments, what are your retirement goals? What's your time frame? How do you invest? What's your strategy? I really just wanted to share this very passive, easy strategy that's basically for anyone. A couple of other side notes, guys, that I wanted to mention. First and foremost, some of you may know, some of you savvy investors, whether you're new to the game or not, you may notice that the holdings in SCHD There's no real estate holdings, there's no real estate investment trusts, and there are no utility stocks in that fund. So later in life, let's say John or Adam or anyone in these scenarios getting out of high school reads a few books like Pat Dorsey's 5 Rules for Successful Stock Investing and become adept at analyzing stocks, they may decide to add in some real estate exposure in individual stocks. And so I'll share with you guys a couple of those up on the screen. I personally own Realty Income, ticker symbol O, and American Tower, which is a cell phone tower real estate investment trust. So they buy land, build cell towers, and then rent out the space on those towers to companies like Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, etc., all over the world. And then some utility stocks that I have owned in the past are Southern Company, ticker SO, and Duke, DUK. I don't see those as particularly good values right now, but I'm just saying that it can be nice to have what's known as a core satellite strategy. So you build up this core with the ETFs like SCHD, and then over time, you may pick a few individual stocks to complement the holdings in the ETF. And then second of all, I wanted to answer a question preemptively before I get it in the comments. What if you don't want to wait 20 years to retire? How do you supercharge this? How do you get there even quicker? Well, there's a number of different ways. First of all, educate yourself. If you can get better than 12%, say you can get 15%, or get up to Warren Buffett's level of 18% annualized, you will cut this time down dramatically from 20 years down to 10 years or even less. The second major way to supercharge this is work even more, make more sacrifices, and increase your monthly contributions. Say you go from investing $1,000 a month to contributing $1,000 a week, which is about what I was doing at the peak of my investing. That takes a lot of sacrifice, guys, but it cuts years off your time frame. If you want to just rip off the Band-Aid and get to retirement, those are the two biggest ways. And I personally did both. I read books by Peter Lynch, Pat Dorsey, Warren Buffett, and through that education, I was able to get much better than 12% returns. But also, as mentioned in the previous Investing and Retire Early video that I will leave a link to at the end, I made huge sacrifices. One was I moved back in with my dad. I worked 7 days a week. So keep all that in mind. I just wanted to mention those things. If you guys are like me and you just want to get it done in 5 years or 3 years, those are two things you can do, but it takes a lot of commitment, and you can't be wasting time. You have to really go for it. Hopefully you guys really found that helpful. I hope that this information helps some of you get to financial freedom sooner than you expected, sooner than you thought possible. All right, guys, see you in the next one. Thanks again for watching. All right, guys, so Anna wanted to say thank you to you all for the get well wishes. She's doing a lot better. Anna, what's up?
Hey, guys, thank you very much for all the wishes. I'm doing way better. Thank you.
Yeah, there you have it. Back to living life. Yeah.